So
Yeah,
if these cards become a problem, deal with it. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Deal with it, guys.
basically.
It's going to be a headache. It's going to be a headache. But we have new cards coming out, especially this new one next week, the one and only called Hydra Stomper, ladies and gentlemen. So now with Hydra Stomper, we're supposed to review Strange.
We are.
Oh, okay.
I was just
I
going
went.
with the flow. You're the
Yeah,
one doing the
I'm the
edits
one that
now,
made the
man.
mistake.
So I
Yeah,
don't know what's in
yeah,
your
I
head.
made the mistake. Yeah, I made the
You
mistake.
you made the mistake. So you know what?
No,
This is your moment to justify yourself and say, look, you're new to this. Okay. It's your first time on
yeah,
a
yeah,
podcast. It's fine. It's only
yeah.
been
Second time.
99 and a half
Yes.
episodes.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, it's fine. You know, we all
Yes.
make mistakes. So why don't
Yeah.
you decide for us right here, right now? Who are we talking about? Strange Supreme or Hydra Stomper?
We've been doing this for a long time now, especially me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely 99 and a half, 99B time has been doing this.
99
Um,
problems, but a segue is still one.
still one. Facts.
Represent, gotta do it hella big, had to run it back again, light it up, gotta do it.
Welcome everyone back to the Marvel Snapcast podcast. Please excuse my voice. A bit under weather. If you guys have children, little kids, like I'm sure me and guests do, you guys understand when those kids get sick, you
Mm-hmm.
get the super bug. So
Yep.
we both kind of a little bit under the weather. We did not want to miss this episode. We have some cool things to talk about, especially this crazy OTA. We also have some awesome new things to talk about in regards to the top Series 4, Series 5 card. We do have a front page event happening. We'll dive into that a little bit later. Of course, we're going to go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and review, as normal, review the current card that's out right now, which is Strange Supreme. And we're going to preview the last card of the What If season, the Hydra Stomper. So before we dive into all of that, let's get all the wonderful things out the way. I'm Ken, aka the Super Tech Guy, the gentleman with every variant in the game. And I'm here with one of the co-hosts, the one and only Mr. Epic Sax Man himself. It's Guess Gaming. So,
Yo.
Guess, my friend, we asked the people
Yeah.
where you were last week. We had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
comments was suggested where you were.
Yeah.
Um,
This
how
is
you
true.
doing,
I
man?
saw
How was
them.
the Yes, good, good. How are you doing,
I
my friend?
saw them, but unfortunately, the only person who actually got it right was Sino, where he said apparently the Marvel Snapcast can't afford three of us at once. So here we are again, which is two of us
That makes
because
sense.
you're spending too much on variants and you can't
Yeah.
seem to get each of us simultaneously. But, you know, maybe next week will be different because
Yes.
this is going to be our 99 and a half.
Half, yes.
Half
Episode 99B.
episode
We call it, yes.
99B because
Yes.
we don't want to have an official celebration for 100 without the man, the myth, the legend, Sino. So
That's right.
we're gonna be doing a larger event podcast next week. But
Yes.
this week, you've got two under the weather gentlemen that are both sipping on every possible beverage
Liquid.
to try to make themselves feel better and
Facts.
get through this podcast because damn it, we love you all.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, one of the cool things we want to say at the bottom, at the end, I mean, I'll bring it up now while you guys are listening. Leave
Yeah.
a comment down below, whether you're listening on podcasts or YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening to. Leave a comment, and we're going to pick one, and that will be our topic for one of our topics for the 100th episode. We'll take one of your wonderful topics. You guys let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll make it one of our topics for the 100th episode. It's going to be epic. It's going to be fun. And there's going to be a lot of us. All right. So
Yes.
let's dive into, of course, what we came to talk about today, and that's the OTAs. So today's OTAs was very interesting. So we'll kick things off with the season pass card, another season pass card to be adjusted during the season. And that is Captain Carter. She goes from a 4-3
Yep.
to a 3-2. Now, we spoke about this card when it first came out. We kind of hinted to it needing to be a lower cost, because what it does in the ability and the power is fine, but the cost was bad, especially if you get this card on the 5th turn or the 6th turn. It was just like, how can we get her where she needs to be, where she can be actually, perfect if she's coming out on that final turn. We're not going to play her, right? Because
Yeah.
the board's already filled. So the fact that they went and made her a 3 cost, I think helps in that area. I just think it's a bigger problem now because of something like Surfer. So
Yeah.
I would have preferred, and I'll let you speak your thoughts on it. I would have
Mhm.
preferred her being a 2-1 because her being a 2-1 in my eyes just makes sense for the card and the ability that it does, right? So the ability is, for those who don't know, is that it adds this card's power to the back row of cards here, meaning she has to be either 1 or 2, and then the cards in the back gets her power. So I get it. The 1 would have been a problem because why giving 1 to the back row? But of course, there's ways to buff the cards. My whole thing is if you want to get her out in those front 2 rows, she should be a 2 cost. It just plays perfect on curve. And also make her 2 cost so she doesn't become the next best surfer card in Marvel Snap. So that's my only take on it. I'm happy she got the buff. I just think it's too powerful. Guess your take.
Um, it's hysterical because we're recording this. What do you want to say? It's been about an hour and a half
Yeah,
or so since it
yeah.
dropped,
About that. Yes.
and there are already people in the community crying out for an emergency OTA to fix this because they think it's just that cracked. And it's hysterical to me because it's like it's been an hour. And of
Right.
course,
Let's give it some
just like
time.
any new card that drops, if it's a 3-cost card, what do? You throw it in Surfer. But to that point, this may end up being a little bit of a problem in that aspect because the way I guess I kind of look at the card is I look at the base value of what they're essentially trying to go for. They're looking
Right.
for the unbuffed version of what is this card going to do, not the ceiling of what it could potentially get to. So you look at Captain
Okay.
Carter being a 3/2,
Right.
occupying the front row, buffing up 2 cards in the back. Total value 3/6. The condition to get 3/6, which is technically above rate, is to have 2 cards behind it. So in that instance, I can understand, okay, sure, this card is fine. In a world where Silver Surfer doesn't exist.
Right.
But Silver Surfer, the 3-cost card meta giant of Marvel Snap.
Correct.
This is I'm sorry, it's a regular 3/4. It is
Yeah.
never a 3/2. It is almost never a 3/2.
That's
And
correct.
yet alone, like I built the deck right off the bat, and it's just all too consistent already. Because the problem with Surfer decks is they're very reliant on needing to get the Surfer combo, right? They absolutely need to have the Surfer combo to be strong.
Right.
But now I put Captain Carter, Captain America, and Moonstone
It's
instead
over.
of having Galacta, because now I can either do Captain America and Moonstone in one lane as a lane winner, or I can do Captain Carter and Moonstone, and that's a lane winner. I mean, this deck in general is going to be incredibly powerful.
Listen.
To the point where I would not be surprised if they did exactly what you said a month from now, which is
30
adjust at least its power down to 1.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be too easy to keep it at 2 power, in the sense of like, this is just going to be overpowered all the time. This is going to be absolutely overpowered all the time. And I'm excited to throw this back into all of the original decks that I had built for Captain Carter. I'm just going to test almost all of them again, plus Surfer, now with her as a 3/2. Like, ongoing Thanos is just bonkers right now with this.
It's going to be crazy. Yep. I agree. And same thing. I didn't put up my Captain Carter video yet. I did put up my Strange video today. Make sure you guys go ahead and check it out. But I, was saving the thumbnail. Let's say I'm going to put out a video at the end of the month, the end of the season, to see how I really feel about her. And now I'm excited to do a Captain Carter video because so many things you could put her in. And as you mentioned with Surfer, she can also win a lane by herself with her and Brood. Like, like this is crazy. Like it gets crazy. But nonetheless, we're all happy that she got the buff. You agree with me as well. I think it's too OP for the time being right now. But it's still early to find out.
Is it a real problem though? But hang on though.
No.
Is it like, to play devil's advocate for a second though? Like, looking at the cards and the decks of the meta of right now.
Yeah, no.
Is this iteration of Surfer something that is going to compete with the top decks, or is it going to be something that overtakes the top decks?
It could compete with the top decks.
Because if it competes, I don't see it getting changed.
Yeah.
If it overcompetes and it just dominates, then I could see them saying, you know what, maybe we'll knock off a power here.
I just think that when we all were concerned, when we're in a meta where everything gets powerful, right? Power creep is the biggest thing right now. I
Yeah.
think we're going to see the shift in no longer using Shang-Chi and more so using Enchantress and Shadow King. I think those are going to be the two tech cards we see the most of going
Yeah.
forward, because Shadow King can handle the Doctor Strange meta creep, the screams, etc. And then Enchantress can handle all the other ongoing stuff like Captain Carter. So I think the
Yep.
reason why, so that's why I'm not too concerned right now, because we do have two cards that exist that can handle, especially on the last turn 6, be able to play those two cards. So we're okay for now. But I do believe with all the tournaments that are coming up, especially the Crown and events that we do in my Discord, I'm waiting to see if Surfer's going to go bananas. Like, I'm really excited
Oh,
to
yeah.
see what happens there, because the first tournament for the Crown that we had, Surtur was the champion with Skada. The second tournament, the second Crown we had, Bullseye was the champion with Abra, right? So now for the third Crown, I'm intrigued to see what takes the championship. Will it be a Carter Surfer? Would it be an ongoing? Would it be a Doctor Strange? And then we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see at that point if this is truly a problem. But yeah, I think everybody should just calm down. Don't break the glass yet. I understand. When I saw this change, I was very concerned.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. Let's give it some time, because I do think Strange Supreme is still something to reckon with at this time.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, when it comes to What If, one of the most anticipated cards everybody was waiting for, including you myself, was Infinity Ultron. And as I gave Cito my review, I still gave it a platinum card, because I do agree that all of us don't know what we're doing with it yet. I go back to, how Thanos came out and Ajax, and we all kind of shitted on those cards. And then voila, lo and behold, somebody figured it out, and those cards became epic. I think Infinity Ultron will get his time in the sun. I just think this buff to a 5/8 might help it. I still think the stones need to be adjusted. And that's where I get into. I think the stones need to be, the two powerful ones should be 3. The next tier should be 2, and then the ones that do like the move the weakest card here and the drone can be 1 cost. I think that's what needs to happen. I think the stones need cost adjustments across the board. You can keep 2 of them at 3, which is double his power could be a 3, and playing double on reveals could stay at a 3. But everything else needs to adjust. And I think they didn't even have to make him an 8. I think 5/6 with those changes with the stones, he'd have been a better card there.
I think that you're undervaluing what the 2 extra power does on the base Infinity Ultron to the stones themselves. So you've got the Space Stone, right, which is move the lowest power enemy card here to the location of Infinity Ultron. He's now stronger. So that stone has a better chance of doing some good things here, right? The Reality Stone creates a drone. The drone is now a 1/8 instead of a 1/6.
Right.
That's just as that's just as important. The Power Stone doubles the power. So of course, you're going to be going up
now,
from 12 to 16 now. So
I'm with that.
The fact that those 3 stones are benefiting so greatly from this 2 power change. Technically 4 cards got changed out of the 7 that come from the world of Infinity Ultron. Now, sure, there are some instances that really don't, benefit too much from it, like the Mind Stone, the double up, because that could be anything that gets doubled up.
Correct.
Or the what's the other one? The put a card here, the Time Stone, like
correct.
That too. It doesn't really necessarily get the major buff to it, unless if you're playing it, I guess, the same lane as Infinity Ultron, because now he's stronger to win the lane, maybe. But you've still got strength coming to this card, and you look at the other 5/7s and 5/8s that are now going to be competing with it. You look at your all-stars in that aspect. You look at your Visions, you look at your Legions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sandman even. And this now, in my opinion, competes with those, because at 5/6 it was very like, if you're an Infinity Ultron deck, you're playing similar in the mindset as you would Surfer, where your ideal play is you're looking to play Surfer on 6, right? With an Infinity Ultron deck, you're looking to play at least one of your stones, minimum one of your stones on the final turn. Now, if you get a 5/8 body down on the board, you don't feel as bad about just putting down a 5/8 body versus putting
Okay,
down a
that's fair.
5/6 body.
6 body,
So
right, from before.
I think that it's a lot
Better.
more plug and play now than it was before. And that is where I think the strength of this, it's not just 2 power, it's 4 cards getting a buff because of 2 power. So I'm actually a big fan of this change, that they went this aggressive with it.
No, listen, I'm hearing you, especially with the doubling of the power and everything else in the drone. I just feel that as far as people wanting to play the card, I think if the stones had a different cost, it would be a whole lot, a more playable card than it is right now. I think you, other people who love different tactics in Snap will enjoy playing this card and enjoy doing cool things with it. It becomes the question is all the chaos worth it, right? Like, is the risk better than the reward at this point? Because we could do a lot more of those things without Infinity Ultron stones, or even without Infinity Ultron. Because like you say, go back to Vision. Vision can get that double up, right? Vision can become a, if you use Shuri or whatever the case is, a Vision can move. But I'm just saying, for the standard people who wanted to get this card and want to play it, I think to them this is a great change. But I don't know if it's still gonna be playable. I think people still are gonna, downplay the card. Now, when you put out a deck that shatters dreams, then of course, then everybody's gonna play it at that point. But like I said, right now, I don't think anybody figured it out yet. And when that time comes, we'll see what happens.
I believe
Guest will be the person to do it.
I think you're going to be clipping this 2 weeks from now and going, oh man, I was wrong. Because you're going to see this card in so
more.
Many more shells because
I
it's strong enough to stand on its own.
I would
really
love to, because I love this card. I gave it a platinum. And I would love to see it be played more. I would love it. So if it does, I would definitely clip it and play it back because I was wrong.
Yep.
Then we go on to the next card that's in Surfer currently in some Surfer decks, and that's Fastos, which this card should have been buffed a long time ago. You and I have been saying this. Cino been saying it. Fastos needed some love a while ago. They finally gave him an additional power. Is it enough? No, it is, but it isn't. Because I think now you cut him for either Captain America or for Captain Carter in those decks. So it's like, Fastos, I mean, listen, there is homes for him, decks like, we'll go back to She-Hulk Infinite, right? Stuff like that, where you're hoping the cost of the power, switches and change and helps you out. But I mean, him getting a 3/4 now, I wish he'd have got this 3/4 even a couple months ago, it'd have been a bigger change than it is right now. I am happy for it because buffs is always great. But I just think in the Surfer deck now with all these new cards, the next card we're going to talk about is like, I think Fastos is one of the cards that get cut first.
I still think he gets, I still think he gets cut from most decks that he wants to be played in.
Right.
Because I think the strength of the effect is not how much power he has on the board. It's how many cards does he affect. Correct. So the ability to still play him on turn 3, the benefit you're getting out of him long term, there are so many better cards to play down on turn 3 right now for the long-term benefit, whether it's a Cosmo for defense, whether it's a Captain Carter for offense even.
Right.
It's just not as strong, even though it is getting 1 more power. The strength of this card, which is one of the proposals I had made for it in the past in my like OTA prediction wants needs posts, was to have Fastos be a 2/1. Because I think at a 2/1, he's a much more appealing card for so many other curves, so many other decks even. Because just like you're doing right now, you see a Fastos at 3/4. The only deck you mentioned was Silver Surfer. And that's because he's a 3-cost card. But you throw Fastos right now as a 3/4 into a Thanos deck, he's much better than he was before.
Right, because he helps out with the stone. Same thing with She-Hulk Infinite, right? Because you help out and hopefully you get that one less. I get it, but
it's your
you have so many other cards
catch-up mechanic, if you will.
Yes,
it's your catch-up mechanic.
Correct.
And the power's nice. I think people just will kind of look at it like, okay, oh, it's in a different place in my collection now. Okay, but it's going to stay there for most people.
100%, 100%, and that's a shame. I think Fastos' ability is flawless. I don't know what they can do.
Maybe it's kind of flawed. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
It's a little flawed. but that's because it's the wrong turn for this card to have strength. That's why I think
Right.
2/1 validates the purpose of the card.
Yeah, because then you can also on turn 4 if you need to. On turn 3 if you wanted to, you can just
Mhm.
grandmaster it and then go, have it flip again. I think that'd be so much
Exactly.
better. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let me go on to our next 3-cost card that got a buff, and that is the one and only Rhino. Now, Rhino didn't just get a buff,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. Rhino got a rework, and I am excited for this rework. I want to see more cards like this get reworked in the game. The fact that Rhino went from a 3/3, which was ruin this location, meaning remove its ability, it now has an on reveal that adds a rock to your side of this location. Now, of course, the first thing you think about is Surfer. Again, he's a 3/6 guy. Those stat lines are very beautiful. I think if Foxos was a 3/6, we would have said a completely different thing a couple minutes ago. So it
Yep.
being a 3/6 is pretty powerful. Being put in a Surfer deck maybe works out, especially with Captain Carter now, because that rock gets an additional power depending if you have Carter, Moonstone, all in the same lane with Rhino, right? So this is, again, something that could happen. But also, you can play Rhino in a Patriot deck. You can play Rhino in a Doctor Strange deck. I think this is great for Rhino. I'm glad to see Rhino get some love. Cards like this need love. So I'm happy to see what decks people cook up and, what ideas they use with that extra rock, whether they, hazmat, viper it over, or whatever the case is. I'm pumped. I'm here for it. I want to see what happens. I'm happy for this change. This rework is awesome. Guess your take.
People have been crying out for a change to Rhino for probably about 2 years because it's just a card that had one home and was the 14th card in that deck, and that was Cerebro 3.
14, that's right, yes.
Like, it was always a card you went, we'll throw it in for flavor, maybe, just to switch it up a bit. No one played this card once you leave like collection level 200. Right. And it's sad because it's technically a cool ability, but it didn't really make total sense. But now 3/6, I think this card actually gets a lot more play. I think we start seeing the rise of Clog Surfer. You start throwing in some compatibility chaos with Patriot and Debris. Viper, those are all 3-cost cards that synergize together with it. And maybe that Captain Carter, fella, if you will, throw that in there just for funsies, like you said. I think that Rhino's going to have a lot more use case, because even in just a standard Surfer deck, forget like getting cheeky with like Captain Carter shenanigans or vipering over shenanigans, it's still a 3/6, and if you play it last in the lane, you could play that and Brood, and you don't even have to worry about a rock.
Worry about that lane. That's correct.
Right, it's the last card in the lane, so ta-da, good value. Woohoo. Like this is still going to be a very good card, and
100%.
I expect this though to go down the same path as what we'll call the Luna Snow effect, which is people undervalue what 3/6 really can do.
Yes,
and in the first week, it's like, all right, this is cool, but it'll take a little while for people to realize, you know what, this is really strong. This is really, really strong
really
for 6
good.
power for 3 in this spot here. Damn, save on this for later. Yes, please.
Funny enough, you said that. So far, 2 people from Power On has sent me decks, Surfer Carter decks with Rhino in it, and I'm just laughing because I'm like, it's the truth, guys. This Rhino is going to be a problem, and I'm excited to see what people cook up with it.
I don't know about a problem, but I think
you know what I mean. It's going to be fun. It's going to be.
It's more interesting. It's a new shiny toy.
Yes.
Play with the new shiny toy.
And that's one thing I got to say about Marvel Snap. The possibilities are endless, guys. We have so many subpar and okay cards that they can do this with, and it becomes a different game. And that's the best part about it. Then we have another card, a season pass card that has been adjusted, this time nerfed again for the second OTA in a span of a couple of weeks.
Yep.
One of my near and dearest cards to my heart, Sam Wilson, Captain America. The first nerf, as you guys know, that 1-cost shield did so much damage when it came out. Cull Obsidian, Khazar. It was so much fun. They said, hey, whoa, slow down here now. We got to make this a 0-cost card. No problem. They kept the 1 power, made it 0. Everybody's happy. we still see Sam Wilson in almost every list. They decided now, wasn't the shield that needs to be adjusted? It's the card's power. Sam goes from a 2-3 to a 2-2, keeping the same ability, keeping the shield the way it is. And some people wished, based on the comments I've seen so far, they wish that the shield took the hit and not Sam Wilson. Now, thinking about it, shield being a 0-0, maybe that would have been a better choice. I see that, and I like that, because the shield being 1 power doesn't really need to be a 1 power. It being a 0-0 kind of works out, and keeping Captain America at his stat line. But either way, people are still playing this card in every deck, no matter what you do to it at this point. If it can move the shield and it gets buff from the shield, it's still going to be played in most decks. Guess, how do you feel about the change?
I think that this is going to have a similar effect to what Black Bolt Stature's nerfs did, which is it'll just back people off of it for a little while. That's it. It's just going to tell people, hey, listen, if you want to play the combo, go for it, have fun.
Right.
But know that your ceiling for the 2 power you're playing this for is now, you're cutting off another 50% off of its max ceiling. And in the sense of like, it went from a ceiling of, let's say, 2-9 now down to 8. So you went from 4xing the card, or 4.5xing the card to 4xing the card. So that's your 50%. Right. And people have been calling for this one for a while because it is pretty much a best in slot. And with the emergence of Strange Supreme, even, who we'll talk about later, which is giving it another out, putting down just a 2-3 on rate with no downside, even on the final turn, at least it's still a 2-3. This further incentivizes, being a 2-2, that you want to get this down on turn 2.
Early. Yeah.
And as a 2-3, you had less pressure to do so. Right. As a 2-2, you have astronomical amounts more pressure to get this to do its thing, so you could get it to be at least a 2-6.
Right.
That's the goal. You got to get it to 2-6, in my opinion. So 2-5.
Now the sense of urgency. Yeah.
Yeah. 2-5 beforehand, you had 1 movement. You didn't feel bad about it because now it's a 2-5. But at 2-4, you kind of feel like, did I waste I could have used my energy better.
Yeah. Right. No, good point. Good call out there. That sucks. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
And I get it. Listen, we've been asking for nerfs for certain things. People have been asking for nerfs for certain things. So, Sam, we get it. I think you're still going to be played. Yes, people are going to back off a little bit, but once other cards start to come out, you're going to see the difference change. I mean, listen, we got Hydra Stomper coming out in next week. I'm sure this card will still be played alongside with it. So, we'll see what happens, guys. Next, we have another card that, I've been asking for the nerf. I know Guest has as well. And that is Scream, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh. Guest did take this to Infinite. He did take Scream to Infinite, like most people did. And we've been saying Scream is one of the most powerful cards. The Affliction, the move, everything in this list. Scream was just so good. Yeah. Scream now finally got a nerf from a 2-2 to a 2-1. I think this is enough to, like you said, deter people. But I also think this isn't too bad to kill the card. So I'm happy. I think this is a perfect nerf for the card. Make it a 2-1. I'm happy with this change 100%. And I'm sure people who play Scream aren't upset with this as well. How do you feel about it?
I think it still should be a 2-0. I've been calling for that for weeks.
Right.
I still think that 2-1
doesn't the one bothers you still?
It does. It does, because
let me hear you. Let me hear it.
As of right now, on an average game where you're playing a Scream deck, when it was a 2-2, getting this up to 2-8 was too easy. So
correct.
2-8 versus 2-7, you feel pretty much exactly the same about the card.
Same.
2-8 versus 2-6, you start
Different
to really
story.
think about the importance of getting this card down early, just like we talked about with Sam Wilson. These cards that beg for needing to be down as early as possible need to have certain limits to them. And I think that the Scream, I'm not saying put a limit on like how many times Scream can get a buff in there. I'm talking more in the sense of like, what is the goal maximum? What is the regular goal maximum you're trying to get out of the card? And for Scream, it was always at least a 2-6. And that's why I think it should go down to a 2-0, because you're really trying to get all of the movements. You got to get 3 movements to make that to happen previously. Getting a 2-5, you still feel pretty good about that. And you justify that place on the board by 2.5 times, 2 to 5. So you're feeling pretty good about it. I think that 2-1 versus 2-0 is a big difference. And I hope that starting next week, we also see a lot more Red Guardians start making reappearances, because a lot of these nerfs to help control these cards needs, we need that other mechanic. And Red Guardian is that. It's easier to hit Sam Wilson. It's easier to hit Scream now. You think you can still get away with it? No, you can't. Red Guardian, face.
There you go.
It's not enough. I think it should be a 2-0 still.
Wow. Power needs to be controlled. I get it. Yeah, like I said, I really Shadow King, Red Guardian, those cards need to make a wonderful resurgence. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like I said, I needed to be nerfed. That 1 extra power, I'm happy with. But I understand where you're coming from. That 0 will be a whole lot better. Then we go on to the Spider within Penny Parker. Now, I've never been a fan of Penny. I know you have. I haven't. I preferred Luna that season. But Penny's finally the Spider, and you mentioned this some time ago. The Spider should get a buff. You call. I remember this whole conversation. I didn't care. Now Spider did get a buff. Spider went from a 3/3, which is of course the honor village merged with one of your other cards here. You can move that card next turn. Again, I'm only saying that because I know a lot of you guys don't have the card or don't care to get the card. We're on the same page here, guys. So that's why I made sure you guys knew exactly what this does. Now it's a 3/4. That does the same exact thing. Now there's cards like Doctor Strange out there, which I think makes this Penny Parker package a whole lot better. So if you don't want to play the Thanos package, which I know a lot of people are getting upset about, I think Strange and Thanos just make sense. If you want to play a different package with Strange, throw the wonderful Penny Parker in there, because getting this, merging with it, making him he becomes a 2/6, and then you can move him, is flawless. So I really do like this change. I do like this buff, and that opens up my eyes to make me want to even try playing with Penny Parker. Guess, how do you feel about this?
So kind of like what we were talking about earlier about the 5-cost card, where 5/6 versus 5/7 versus 5/8, they have different weights. And the Penny package, to play the 2 cards previously, because Penny's a 2/3, and the old SPDR which was a 3/3, and I always was like, this is just you're paying an extra cost to be able to move Hulkbuster, because it's the same thing, 3 power. It doesn't really justify its uniqueness at that power, which is what I'm pretty sure I said when the card came out in the podcast too. And then later on, I want to say it was about a month ago, I also said that I think that Penny and SPDR should both get changed. I think the Penny should have been a 1/2, and the SPDR should have been a 2/3. So at least the SPDR got something. At least Spider got a little bit more power and justifies itself at, vanilla stats now that it's appeared in your hand, and you get a little bit of unique movement from it. I think the only thing that really frustrates me, I guess you could say, about the card is it's basically Nocturne with restrictions. Because Nocturne at 3/5, which could move at any point, was a scary card, and then they had to bring it down. This is the same thing, but you only have 1 turn to make the movement. And that's why I think SPDR, if you're going to buff it and still leave it at 3 cost, you should make it a 3/5. Because if Nocturne can move whenever she wants and is a 3/4, if you're limiting the window, I feel like it's better. It's better off at a 3/5 stat line to say, hey, listen, now you can do the thing, but you're telling your opponent you have to do it right now if you're going to try to predict it. And I really want Penny to be a good card. I think that the two pieces together are can make for really interesting deck building, really interesting, play choices even as well, of do you merge it with that? Do you merge it with something else? Do you have something else merge into the Penny because you're playing like an Agony build for the extra energy? Like, there's so many different ways you could make this card fun, but still aggressively think that at 2 cost and 3 cost for these two, you're building a
it's
penny
too
deck.
much. Right.
Yeah, it's just a
yes,
penny
yes.
deck, and that's a problem. That's just
Correct.
not, it for the benefit you get for it, you shouldn't be building a deck around it. Infinity Ultron justifies itself in that aspect.
Right,
Thanos justifies itself in that aspect.
Yes.
Strange Supreme justifies himself in that aspect.
Itself, yeah.
Penny
you
for
gotta build a penny
5
deck.
energy worth of mechanics to work around. You don't get enough out of these 2 cards. And this total of 6 power that it was now going to a total of 7 power helps. It's just not enough yet to move the needle.
No, I totally agree. I get that. Yeah, it goes back to that. I mean, I thought the extra power will help, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. And then we go on to a card that needed no buff, I felt. But it got love. It got love. They got a lot of love, guys. Toxin went from a 2-1 to a 2-2. Now, to me, I think Toxin did a great job before. It was pretty much strong before, right? Getting to like, 2-7, right? And if you bounce it back, you get 2-14, right? Yeah, you can do whatever you want with Toxin. They gave him extra power, guys. He's a 2-2 now. Yeah, a 2-2. Madness. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to get mad at buffs. But nobody's talking about this card because everybody's talking about Captain Carter and Surfer. But when the real bounce people get back into this, and now they got Toxin with an extra buff, we're all going to be upset real soon. But this is why we keep saying cards like Shadow King needs to be in the meta, because these power creep cards is going to make a problem. Guess how do you feel about Toxin's change to a 2-2?
I think the devs really showed some unique colors in the full breakdown of Toxin, where they specifically called out the fact that they want certain archetypes, prominent archetypes, to regularly become relevant. Not stay relevant, become relevant. So the ebb and flow and the waving of letting Bounce be strong, for example, or letting Surfer be strong. This OTA reminds us what the balanced team of Second Dinner is actually doing, which is intentionally changing the meta for the purpose of changing the meta. Not because something's too oppressive, not because we called for it, but it's just like, all right, let's switch it up. Let's bring Carter down and make Surfer probably insanely good again. Let's give another power to Toxin to let people re-experiment with the strength of Bounce, and especially with Hydra Stomper coming next week, move Bounce making a comeback again. They're introducing the stronger decks to us and refreshing them for us. They're throwing it in our face and saying, do this, try this, remember this, do it again. And that constantly refreshed interest is something that we should not be ignoring as players, because it's one of the biggest things that this company does to keep Marvel Snap interesting that so many other games do not do.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they have the digital space to make quick changes and not just say, okay, this card is banned forever in tournament play. No. They're just like, let's just turn a couple of dials and okay, now go have fun for a month. A whole month.
30 days, guys. That's right. As we wrap up the OTAs, that's correct, guys. We're not going to get another change or another OTA until next month. Strange Supreme. What do we rate this wonderful card? So I'm going to tell you guys, if you guys haven't seen my video yet, check it out. I'm going to leave a link down below. I call the deck Taste the Rainbow. Of course, Thanos was the first idea to put him in. But I have cards like a Koye that buffs the stones, Mr. Sinister to give you that extra, thing, Squirrel Girl, etc. And it's just a fun old time. Strange Supreme doesn't feel bad if you lose to it, but it feels so good when you play it. It's such a fun card. And I'm happy to introduce this card to the game, especially in this time of the season. When I first spoke about the card last week, as you guys saw, assumed it only absorbed the cards and got 2 power. I didn't know it got 2 plus the power of that card. So my initial plan was Yeah, my initial plan was putting it with Thanos and Annihilus and Sentry, because I'm like, hey, we'll send Sentry out. If we can't Annihilus the Void over, at least when he absorbs
Gotcha.
it, he gets +2. And then somebody's like, no tech, he's gonna become negative. I go, what? He gets the power? That changes everything. So switch the whole deck up, and I've been having a blast with the card ever since. I tell everybody on stream, I'm telling you guys right now, I don't care how many tokens you got, I don't care how many keys you got. Make sure you pick this card up as soon as you can. You will not be disappointed. It is super fun, and I hope this card doesn't get changed, buffed, or nerfed anytime soon. Guess I'm giving it double platinum. What's your take on this card?
So I think this is the card that surprised people the most this month. I think that people expected it to be good, but didn't realize how good it was going to end up being. I saw so many unique, fun things with this card that I had not seen or thought about before. And I love how different people decided to run it. You know, you've got your Thanos builds. Those do incredibly well. Then you've got the, like you said, the Mr. Sinisters. I threw Mr. Sinister into a build that was playing Elsa Bloodstone because I could use it to be the second and third card in the lane, bounce the Kitty Pryde in, and then it would still absorb that later on, the Sinister clone. I was trying stuff like that. I was seeing people play Shanna just as a 2-card combo. Just throw it into other stuff and just let it slowly eat up all of those 1-drops and free up the spaces back again on the board. That's a lot of power, and it helps to mitigate some of that downside of Shanna. Because how often has it happened where you play a Zoo deck and then you play Shanna and all of a sudden
Ebony Maw,
it puts down the Ebony Maw comes down. Now you get the power and none of the downside to it. So
that is correct.
This card, and we saw also a lot of Clog. You know, we did still see a lot of Annihilus and Clog and all that kind of stuff with debris. But, you know, there's a lot of mirror matches also, too, because it's the first week of the card, which we expected.
Yes, of course. So Shadow King is out there.
Yeah, Shadow King is definitely out there, too. But this card, I think, took people by surprise because they wanted Infinity Ultron to be the best card of the month.
Yes.
And the way that we left feeling both cards after 2 days, we left feeling Infinity Ultron's ceiling was high, but at the moment when it was a 5/6, it was just, it was okay. But wait for it because they're going to make the card better. And then sure enough, they did already. And then this card comes out as a 2/2, and it's already incredibly strong with just even one absorption of one random thing. It's already incredibly strong. So I think this card is definitely a platinum card. I think it's one that you absolutely open with your snap packs next week. You know, you can wait the 5 days. You know,
you can't wait, guys.
Yeah, you can. You can. It will not be there's a chance it could take you to Infinite, but even still, when snap packs premieres next week, you still got another week to get to Infinite. So don't worry, take your time. We'll talk about snap packs too later, but it's a really good card, and I expect it to become a package card. Like you start seeing different little mini packages built in because Strange Supreme anchors them all together. It's a very good card. I'm very pleased with it.
Yeah, perfect. Double platinum for me, platinum for you. Get the card right now, guys. You know why you should get the card? Oh, you don't have to worry about it. You know what? Guess is probably right. It's not getting nerfed. If it's going to get nerfed, it won't happen for 30 days. So you guys have time. You guys have time. I don't think it's going to get nerfed at all, but you know, people are already calling for it to be nerfed. So you already know how that happens. Nonetheless, you guys know it's a great card, as guest mentioned. Phenomenal. Could be put in many packages. I feel the same way. I do think the best package right now is Thanos. Other people disagree with me. We'll find out in 2 weeks, as they said, and that makes sense. Mostly after a couple of weeks, you find out what the best package is for a card. Nonetheless, definitely do enjoy it. Now, we get to go into the next card. The card is coming out this Tuesday alongside Snap Packs, and that is the one and only Hydra Stomper. So now this card, of course, guys, is a 3/2. Ongoing. +1 power for each time one of your cards moved this game. Our next character, I'm going to read the rest because that's what I just do. I just read. I don't read. So yes, that's what it does. That's what it does. I was gonna get into Toxie Doxy, but we spoke about that last week. I don't think guests
Yeah.
care, so we're not gonna talk about it now.
We do
So
not care. Yeah, no.
yes, there you go. So +1 power for each time a card moves this game. So even if you don't play Hydro Stomper on turn 3, the minute you do play Hydro Stomper, he's going to have that power attached to him because that text clearly says each time one of your cards moved this game. It is ongoing, just like how Gore is ongoing. He gets plus whatever for the on reveals. So he adds up in your hand. When you play it, that's the number it's going to be. You don't have to have it on the field when you're moving the cards. So, guys, as we mentioned earlier, it could be played with Move Bounce, Move Surfer, um, Sam Wilson, irregular move package. This card is going to be something else. And especially if you do something crazy, like play it with Moonstone or play it with our favorite other ongoing card, which is Mystique. This card is going to be something fun. And I'm excited to see what people do with it. I can't wait to make the list and tweet it out. And I know Guess is going to make 10 lists. He'll make 10 lists. And I can't wait to see what madness he cooks up as well. But for me, my preview rating for this card is 100% double gold. How about you, Guess? How do you feel about Hydro Stomper?
I'm excited to try this card out because, Move Bounce has been one of those archetypes that we've seen, rise to meta, levels, and then get so strong that it needs to get nerfed. And I think the thing that keeps this in check is the fact that it's a 3-cost card, because there's a lot you can do, to kind of, help mitigate it. But the most important part of this kit for Hydro Stomper is the fact that it's ongoing. It's not an effect that means that it has to drop on turn 3, like a bishop, for example.
Right.
You could do all of the movements and then plop this thing down on the final turn
on the end,
and make some chaos happen. So, for example, I think we end up seeing Cloak a lot more again, because you're going to be able to move 4 cards and not even try, yet alone do things that are absolutely crazy with, Heimdall, because Heimdall is just kind of a, make 8 cards slide, make it all nice and pretty. Werewolf by Night is going to be huge for this card, because every bounce that he goes through means Hydro Stomper drops at the very end. The only downside I see to this card is that its ceiling is actually, in my opinion, not high enough. Because you look at things like Move Bounce, which wants to do a whole bunch of movement and then make a big splash, excuse me, on the final turn, which very often is, coupled with things like Iron Man or Hit Monkey or Sage.
Right.
I don't think this card outdoes any of those 3. And for that reason, I think it's going to underperform. I think people are going to try to do all the fun stuff, and then they're going to realize I'm making a good deck worse because this ongoing effect is not giving me the upper ceiling that I could get out of it.
I don't think Move Bounce might be it for it. Maybe not Move Bounce. Maybe your normal move package.
Any kind of werewolf deck that makes it move a whole bunch of times.
Maybe werewolf. I'm thinking just original, traditional bounce. Move with Hercules and Madam Web, coupled in with, like you said, with Heimdall. I think that might be the best home for it. Because Move Bounce, you're right, that last turn, unless you got 7 turns, even if you have Black Swan, right? You're right. Sage and Hit Monkey is going to be better than Hydro Stomper. So I think Move Bounce might not be it for it, but normal move packages, or maybe just a small move package in another deck might be good for it, So that's something to think about.
Think of it like this with Hydro Stomper. Here's the way I kind of looked at it. With the bounce decks in particular, if you're able to do the chaos of drop down your werewolf on turn 3, and the goal is to drop this on turn 6.
Right.
Even if you get the full caboodle package of trying to play down Black Swan on 2,
right,
get the werewolf down on 3, then the 1 drops, then even if you pull all 3 of them, you get the Falcon, you get the Toxin, which just got a buff, and you get the Beast, plus the discount. The ceiling for Hydra Stomper in that shell is 311.
Right.
And that is not high enough to compete with Hitmonkey, to compete
Right.
with
Or
Iron
Sage.
Man, and to
Yeah.
compete with Sage. So
Right.
that's where I think people are going to make this wrong, where
I
they're
agree.
going to try to play this out and make something happen from it, and it's just not going to be strong enough. I think this needs to be at least a 3-3, if not a 2-1, to give it its true like curve appropriate feel. But I like the fact that this mechanic exists because we could see the rise of this like crossbreeding of move bounce or move, I should say like move on-going again, because the only
Right.
move on-going card outside of this I think is Madam Web, correct?
Correct. It is correct.
So
yeah.
that introduces some uniqueness in all of this, and
Correct.
Hydra Stomper needs to have a higher ceiling than at 312 for it to be something that people go, this is worth a 3 cost as a closer with an ongoing piece here. If it was both sides of the field, now we're talking.
That is
But
different.
if it's only your side of the field,
yeah.
you're going to get your ceiling's going to be too high. I think this ends up underperforming, underwhelming people. I'm going to project double silver.
Wow, so low. I don't know.
I do.
I think. Wow, no. I think, like I said, in the move bounce, I don't think it's gonna be the place for it. I think traditional move, maybe even adding in Moonstone, maybe even doing some Sarah Madness. That might be the list for it, and we'll see how it gets. Move bounce is a bit tricky. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
I'm just trying to think of how many moves you can get per game.
with
that isn't
Aranya, Iron Fist, Aranya, Iron Fist, Ghost Spider,
Madam Web,
cloak,
Sam Wilson. Like,
cloak.
there's a lot of cards that can make multiple movements, but I just don't know if. Yeah, because maybe we see ongoing move where you see the Sam Wilson, Captain America, Madam Web,
right,
Hydra Stomper, all of these hybrids to come together, and then Spectrum on turn 6. Something like that could probably be its own unique deck archetype.
Correct.
But
that's what I think that's what you can be best in.
Yeah.
Whether it be an Onslaught or a Moonstone to double its power. Yeah. I think that's the only way you're going to see this actually get to that point where people are like, oh, I'm happy with this card. Playing it by itself, I don't think makes sense because you already have a 3-cost in Vulture that can do way more power than this card, right? So it's all about that hybrid deck or that different move deck that's not bounce. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That ongoing move that you just mentioned, that's going to be the place for it. Another archetype that people can be happy. Like, oh, I love ongoing. Here you go. Stick Hydro Stomper in an ongoing move deck. Have some fun. So we'll see how that goes. But all right, double silver, double gold. You guys let us know down below how you feel. The preview of Hydra Stomper. Then, of course, we go on to our best Series 4 and Series 5 cards. Why? Because because snap packs are coming out on Tuesday as of this recording, and that means there will be a plethora of Series 4 and Series 5 cards that you guys can actually get at a better time. I see a lot of people do a bunch of math, including It's Gets Gaming, that broke down how fast it can take a human to now be able to be Series 3 complete compared to what it used to be before. I think you said the collection level was 8,000 now, or was it 8,000 before? Forgot the number.
Before. Yeah.
Yes, and now it's what? 2,000, guys. Your collection had to be 8,000 to be Series 3 complete. Now you used to be 2,000. That's 4,000 collection levels difference. So, with that being said, right? Did you just say that? You said it'd be 2,000 collection level to be able to
what's
be
8 minus
Series
2?
To be Series 3 complete. Did you not say that?
Right. Yeah, but what's 8
minus 2? 6.
Hey,
I'm sorry, guys.
All right.
Where did I get 4 from? You know what I got 4 from? I'm thinking about Series 4 cards. So, my bad. I'm sick. I took medicine.
Nice
Series
save
4.
on the segue there.
No, yeah, there you go. See, there we go. So we're going to talk about our top Series 4 and Series 5 cards that you guys should really be on the lookout for. I think we'll do 3 apiece. I'm going to let guest go first on his Series 4s, and then I'll do mine, and we'll do Series 5. So guess, let the people know what Series 4 cards they should be on the lookout for once they become Series 3 complete in only 2,000 collection level.
So this one was kind of tough because I think this one was tougher than the Series 5 because there's so many different archetypes that get opened up from Series 4 cards alone that I sat here, and there's a lot of good options. But if you're a newer player or a player that maybe just happened to miss on a couple of releases and you weren't sure what direction to go, do I get this? Do I get the spotlight for this or not? Do I roll for, okay, you know what, maybe I'll wait till next release. You know, snap packs are going to come on out and completely change things. If you are going to try for Series 4 cards, I went through the list, and the first one that jumped out to me as a necessary card for your collection is probably Iron Lad. I think Iron Lad is a very diverse card. It is a card that can plop into a variety of different decks, and it's universal. It goes into ongoing decks. It goes into on-reveal decks. It goes into any Zabu deck. You could plop this in too. Like, it's a very solid, well-rounded card, and I think it's just a good Swiss Army knife to have in your back pocket. Are we doing all three, or am I just doing one at a time?
Do you
do all three?
You see what's going to happen is we might have the same one. So I'm thinking it's a very tricky thing to do here. So I say you do yours, and if you call out one that I have, I'll say okay, you know what I mean. But yeah, go ahead. What's your next one?
Gotcha. All right. So my next one might be a little bit more off the beaten path, but I think that it is a mandatory card, and that's X-23, because I've made the argument before here on this podcast that I think X-23 might be the most valuable one-cost card in the game, because
especially for Destroy,
the ability for that card to open up the Destroy archetype all by itself, it when it came out, it transformed Destroy with one card, because Destroy had some things going for it, just like Move had some things going for it, and then America Chavez was changed way back in the day.
Right.
And now with X-23, you kind of get around a bunch of it that way, and it fits perfectly in the deck. But it is a mandatory card for such a staple deck. I know a lot of people are going to say probably in the comments that there are much better one drops out there, and we've had this conversation. I invite you to go listen to the best. But for Series 4 cards, X-23 I think is a must get for your collection. And my last one, which was I was torn between two, but I'm gonna settle on Legion, because Legion in the 5-cost slot for completely shaking up any deck, any opponent, it's just such a good plug and play card, because it's not an archetype card, unlike X-23, which strengthens a very specific archetype. Legion is just hey, I need a good 5-drop. Okay, Legion. Like, good power, great effect. When you can control the board and your opponent doesn't know it's coming, it's just regularly in the meta for justified reasons. So Iron Lad, X-23, and Legion are the Series 4 cards I would target.
Awesome. All right, so excuse me. We didn't have the same Series 4 cards, so that's pretty awesome. Number one.
Nice.
That just goes to show that, the card lists that are out there, the meta is such a great place now. The last time the meta was this good was before Loki and Goliath. It's such a great place right now that we can all have different Series 4 cards we think that makes sense for people to be on the lookout for. Surprised you didn't mention stuff like Gladiator. I would never mention Gladiator because, I hate Mill. And what was the other card you said that you were concerned about? You were mixing up with Legion, like you were going to pick.
Oh, that I was debating between?
Yeah.
I was debating about Cannonball.
Okay, so let's go with that one. That's my first one. So Cannonball is the first one. There you go. Perfect. Look at that. See that? So we were close. We were close. So Cannonball, great segue.
We didn't plan this, by the way. We did
not plan it, guys. Exactly. So Cannonball was my first pick because I feel the same exact way. Same thing with Legion, as you mentioned, that last turn, or that surprise of, let me send this big card to somewhere else or turn it into a rock. You have no ideas. You can't plan for it. You can't stop it unless you thought steps ahead and play Cosmo in that lane. You have to worry about that Cannonball. Cannonball has been such a very underrated card for so long. I think it's still
Yeah.
underrated. People know how to use it and they use it, but it's very underrated. But you realize game modes like Sanctum Showdown ban the card, right? Like really, like it's a very powerful card, but still, nonetheless, people still kind of downplay it. Nonetheless, yes.
Yep.
So Cannonball is one of
Very
my
true.
Series 4 cards that I really recommend you guys be on the lookout for and pick up. If you don't have Cannonball, you will be happy with this card in your list. My second card that I chose was Black Knight. Now, Black Knight, I think, is
Ooh.
also a great card, especially for discard. The same way X-23 is great for destroy, I think Black Knight is great for discard. Don't get it twisted. Bullseye is discard now. Bullseye is the best card
Yeah.
for discard. Yes, we want
Mhm.
that card nerfed, but if we had to pick what's the best card for discard, it is Black Knight and then, of course, MODOK, etc. But Black Knight is also another card that's very underrated. And I think with discard, if you're able to discard those big cards, whether it be Infinite or Giganto, etc., Black Knight is always great getting that wonderful not shard, the sword, getting that sword at the
Muramasa
power.
shard.
Yeah, nah, man, Rasha's
Oh,
Dakin.
sorry. No, I'm thinking Dakin. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
the
yeah. See, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That getting that
Ebony
blade,
blade.
the ebony blade, yes, getting the ebony blade at a 20 power or 14 power, and it cannot be destroyed, right? So the fact that you can put it in locations like Death's Domain, etc., it's a very cool thing. I think Black Knight's another card that had its time in the sun, but people are very, very underrated about it, and it's still a great card. Somebody beat me with Black Knight even last night. And I was like, oh snap, I forgot this card actually exists. So, guys, make sure you guys go ahead and get Black Knight. Be on the lookout for it. It is a great card. My final Series 4 card that I think people should have, whether you play negative or not, is Ravonna. Ravonna is a phenomenal card. Discounting those one or less cost cards, giving them that discount. Any card that can help you with energy cheat is always great. She is a
True.
inexpensive Sarah, and especially in negative and other packages that you could think about, especially these cards that just got nerfed down to a one cost, Sam Wilson, etc. I mean, Sam doesn't matter, but you get my point, guys. Ravonna is a great card to have in your arsenal. I really believe you should pick up this card. Now, of course, there are very much more honorable mentions, and we spoke about Hitmonkey and earlier stuff earlier, but those are our three top picks of Series 4 we think you guys should have in your arsenal. So, guess, looking at your three, great. I think those three are phenomenal. I love Iron Lad. Not a fan of Legion. And X-23 is destroy. Without you cannot build a destroy deck without X-23. You can, but it doesn't make sense. So I'm with you on that. Cannonball, I love. Very underrated. Black Knight, right now underrated. Ravonna, definitely a great card to have in your arsenal. So Series 5, what is your Series 5 picks? Your top three.
All right. I'll give my top three, and then I'm going to give an honorable mention intentionally. So my top three for Series 5, obviously you have all the new shiny toys, but you also have the cards that have been around for a little while that are just still incredibly strong. And they haven't dropped series from any of the past series drops for a reason. So that made it kind of tough picking on through. But there's no way I don't pick Thanos, because Thanos is not just his own deck. He's his own deck of multiple archetypes, which makes him incredibly flexible. Especially now, because we have a brand new card in Strange Supreme, which brings another variation of Thanos out there. You've got your ongoing variations, you've got your Zoo variations, you've got your Destroy variations, and it's consistently a card that is relevant in the meta. There is always going to be a time where a Thanos deck is good, every couple of months at worst. And for that reason, it's a card that should be in your collection, because somebody finds a great Thanos build, and then it's very popular and very relevant because it's very strong, and because of the amount of dials that exist between all of the cards and all of the stones. They can easily tweak it up and down, and we've seen dozens of nerfs at this point and buffs all happen to Thanos because of the relevance of where it needs to be in the meta at that moment. Right now, it's a great moment for Thanos. So I think he's one in general you should be targeting if you have not added him to your collection quite yet.
Correct.
Number two, I had to throw in a tech card. I needed a tech card
Okay.
because if you haven't gotten all of the tech cards and you need to pinpoint one or two to have, this is where you should be doing it. You should be getting your
Yes.
Red Guardian as early as possible.
Yep.
I think
Okay.
Red Guardian is such an important tech card to have in your arsenal that you can just, again, throw it into any deck and you can help to counter so many different metas that arise because of that card. So
Agreed.
for that reason, good cost, good power. I still think it's actually too strong. I think it still should justify itself down to being a 3-2. That's how good I think this card is. It should be nerfed because it's removing an effect.
By itself.
It's it's afflicting.
Yeah.
And you've got 3-5 of power. I mean, it's just a good card no matter how you cut it.
Correct.
Lastly, I was stuck between a couple, but I'm still gonna go with Gore because I think Gore is a very flexible big boy that can go into niche decks as well as just plug and play. I need a big body as a single, your game plan is to win a lane by turn 5 and play Gore on turn 6. You know, because it was between him or Red Hulk for the same ideas, but I think Gore generally
is way
better because you can also play the negative line with Gore, which is always cheeky and incredibly fun. So I think it's just a really solid card, and because it's consistent, I'm going to say Gore is probably going to be my number 3, but I'm going to put an honorable mention because I will never put it in my top 3. However, there should be an honorable mention for Arishem for everybody else.
Yes, that's one of my cards. There you go.
It is? Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you explain your reasoning because it's probably the reason as to mine.
Yes.
Because
that's awesome.
I can't do it.
We can't play it. Yes, we can't play it. And that's why Arishem is in my top 3 because it's my number 1 in the top 3 because I said, it's crazy how your honorable mention is always my number 1. Arishem, for people who are just starting out the game that don't have all the cards, Arishem is such a fun time for you. Yeah, you get to play all the different cards that you haven't gotten yet with Arishem. Yep. Yes, I can play Arishem. Yes, Guestnut's going to play Arishem. We can, but we're not going to, right? And I think for those people who want to know what cards do what, this is the best you're going to get to draft mode than anything else at this moment. And Arishem gives you that ability to test out new cards that you can now target with snap packs. So definitely why Arishem is on my top list of one of the cards you should pick up. Guess I'm going to let you talk about why you made your honorable mention if it was anything different than what I said.
It's mainly just for newer players that if you're looking to experiment with as many things as possible, Arishem does 2 things for you. One, it gives you access to cards that you haven't had a chance to play before, just to say that you've tried them and played them. But it also teaches you a lesson in energy mitigation because just because you have more energy doesn't mean you know how to use it. Right. And, playing a Hope Summers, playing a Sarah, any kind of card that gives energy, not energy cheat necessarily, but anything that also gives energy. Psylocke is in there too. These cards are important to kind of really truly master, and Arishem gives you a good mechanic to be able to say you always have more energy without the restriction of Electro. So have fun, do your thing, but let's see how you use that energy. And that skill will translate to other moments and other decks because it's not just your standard curve of 1 through 6. It's 1, 2, 4 through 7. Yet alone have additional energy in there too. So I think it's a good card to just have. I personally will not play it, but it's a good card to have nevertheless. Yeah.
And the fact you mentioned the energy, that's my next card that we're going to talk about. And that's Luna Snow. One of my favorite cards from that season.
Nice.
Luna Snow is another card I think everybody should have, especially if you don't have all the other cards. Luna Snow helps you get that energy and also give your opponent energy, right? So you have to think about, take that into consideration as well. Luna is one of the most balanced cards. I'm upset that they nerfed her power, but wait, they buffed her, right? She was a 3-5 before. Now she's 3-6. What's
She
your
was a
3.6 or
3.5. She's
3.5?
now a 3.6.
Oh yeah, so they buffed her. Thank God. So yeah, Luna is a very great card. Yes, you give your opponent that also ability to have that extra power, but if you are able to fill your opponent's side, that wonderful iceberg gets taken away. But I don't care if my opponent has energy like I do. We're both on the same playing field, but I put a 3.6 down. You did not. So I think Luna's a great card to have, and it's going to help you control energy just like how Erisham kind of does. But with Luna, I think you should definitely pick up that card, guys. And lastly, but not least, one of my favorite cards in the game, and that's Sage. Sage is a card that I think a lot of people, again, was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. And
Yeah.
it's been one of the best cards still to this day. And I think if you want to have some fun, whether it be with negative or not, bounce, like we mentioned earlier, Sage is a very good card. Her ceiling can get as high as you can imagine it to be.
Yep.
So those are my 3 picks when it comes to Series 5. My honorable mention for a Series 5 card will definitely be Galactus, right? Another big bad
It's just
that
fun.
I think,
Yeah.
yes, just for fun. And that's where my head is at.
Yeah.
This is a fun card. Galactus is fun. It's always great to see that animation. One of the best animations in the game. Is always a great feeling that your opponent go and stack up power in those other lanes. You just kneel before Galactus and just destroy the entire thing and win the game. So that's my honorable mention is the other big bad from Thanos, and that is Galactus.
It felt
All
so
right.
wrong not putting Hope Summers in my list because
I know.
she's like
Hope is
one of my
good.
personal favorite cards. But
Yeah. Hope
when
is
it
good.
comes to like everybody going, pick out your stuff, if you
Yeah.
don't have it, if you had to choose generically speaking, like there's no way I don't pick,
Hope. Yeah, Hope is in
Yeah.
my Thanos Strange deck right now. She's great because of the stones, right?
Oh yeah.
So and he just eats the stone and free up space. It's just so good. Hope is a great card. I mean, I didn't mention War
Agreed.
Machine, and I think War Machine is
know.
great with Infinite. Besides that, even Toxidoxy, right? You guys want to play Toxidoxy? Play War Machine. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cards we did not mention, guys, but we wanted to give you the 3 that we think you should definitely be on the lookout for
I
because
cannot
those
wait to
3
see the comments of like, how could you not put Galacta or Agamotto or I cannot wait to
High
see.
Evo.
Yeah. I cannot wait to
Listen,
see
guys.
what people
Yeah.
argue up because
Yeah.
it makes it interesting to see how other people,
How people
build
think.
generically speaking, like for their account. And we're trying to look
Correct.
at it through the lens of on
new
the
person.
whole,
Yes, correct.
aim for these maybe sort of kind
Right.
of if you want.
We could have picked Bruce Banner, guys. We could have done that, right? We could have done
That would just be
Agony,
mean. That's just
right?
mean.
Right.
Let's not
We didn't say
let's not do
bullseye
that.
because I don't want nobody to get bullseye. No. All right, guys. So yeah, that's our top picks. Leave us down in the comment. What's yours? Yeah, I want to, like I said, what is your top 3 Series 4 and Series 5 cards people should be on the lookout for when Snap Packs come out next week, Tuesday? Speaking of next week, Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, we got a front page happening. That's right,
We
an
do?
epic Sacks front page, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only It's Guess Gaming is going to grace all of us in his wonderful presence on Twitch on April 29th. Make sure you guys are there, okay? I'm not going to give you guys the time. I'm not going to spoil that. And I mean, he got to give you guys his information. He's going to put it out there. Make sure you follow him on socials. You know exactly what time to be live on Twitch. Because you guys remember the last front page from Guess, it was epic. This one's going to be no different. I think it's going to be a whole lot better. Then we have Snap Packs coming out. You guys get to see Snap Packs in action for the first time with It's Guess Gaming. Let's see what he can get. Let's see what packs he can open. The same way I did Character Mastery when it came out, and everybody came to watch and see what variants and what's the highest level I can get. I want to see what Guess can get with these Snap Packs. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you Guess take it from there. Guess, are you excited for this wonderful front page happening on the 29th of this month?
I am excited. I've had the pleasure and the luxury, thank goodness, to be able to do a couple of front pages at this point. The last one I did, I focused mostly on Rivals. The one before that, I did a big event for Snap, and that was a huge one. That was the developer tournament that we held up on stream for Symbiote Spider-Man. And now knowing that Snap Packs is actually going to release on the same day, I was like, I gotta go big. I gotta figure out something big that I can do here. Because are you posting this podcast on Friday?
Tomorrow morning, yeah. Do you
Tomorrow
want to
morning?
later?
Okay, so no, not at all. Because those who listen to the podcast will probably get this information then exclusive to them until I
Right.
post about it on social media. So I'm gonna share a
Okay.
couple of things about what's actually happening that day.
All right.
I do know that
Exclusive.
yeah, this exclusive. Yes. I do know that unless if things break is the only way I'll
It's
word
possible.
it. Unless if things break, we will have Matt from Second Dinner once again, the product development manager and leader for them, who helped
Awesome.
implement and create the Snappack system, who we did the interview with. It was Binks,
Yes.
Nina, Lauren, and myself for the video.
Right.
He's going to come on stream, and he's going to talk.
Okay.
We're going to have a QA part 2
Awesome.
to kind of wrap up,
That's what I'm
any of
talking
the
about.
possible last remaining questions that some of us have. So I've already
Okay.
been making a list to start off
To
with.
ask.
And as I always do, I'm working on some other fun stuff in the background that I don't want to fully spoil, but I'll just say that if I get everything that I want, it means you all are going to have everything you have wanted as well. So that's all I'm going to word it as, but I'm
Okay,
going to do
all right.
everything I can to make it a fun and special event. I will be officially up and loading the brand new Avengers party. So we now have the Pikachu one, we now have the Epic Sax one, and we'll have the brand new Avengers party up and live and ready and set to go.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. You guys ready for that?
It's going to be a wild time, and for my loyal treaters, treat block is officially going to be live, where you can block other people from getting treats by timing people out. Because for those who do not know, I give away a season pass and gold passes every month based on the number of treats collected during my streams every month. So if you want to stop somebody that might be taking over the lead, you can actually use channel points to stop them now. So I'm going to be testing all of that tomorrow to make sure it's all up and running perfectly for the event on Tuesday. So it's going to be
okay.
It's going to be and maybe a couple of other surprises in there. And that's how I'll word that part. But yeah, I'm very excited to have another, opportunity to do a front page stream, and maybe some special stuff. That's how I can word it.
Special
that
stuff.
It all comes to be. Yeah. If everything, I cannot wait for Tuesday, because by Tuesday I'll mainly know how much awesomeness I will be able to bring to the party for all of you. So I'm excited.
That is amazing, guys. That is amazing.
It's gonna be fun.
Make sure you guys follow Guest on his socials, because that information is going to be exclusive there. I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to definitely be a part and understand what cool things guests may have this Tuesday. I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's always going to be epic. I hope I get over this cold by then. I hope you're over that cold by then, so you can bring the full force of your energy into that awesome stream. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Snappacks, interview part 2. Oh, man, it's going to be good stuff. I think the first question you need to ask him is what happens to the spotlight variants? All right, people need to know. We need to know, guys. We need to know.
This is true.
All right. And of course, we wrap things off with comments from our wonderful listeners. We had 27 comments in the last video. So very interesting. I'm going to look at some and see what we got here going on. Strange Supreme merges from any lane. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if he merged from any lane. I thought he merged in the same lane. Somebody let me know.
The any lane thing.
He merged from any lane.
Well, I mean, we all love you still, but the any lane thing. I think the biggest surprise with the any lane thing was watching him merge underneath a Professor X.
He's still what? That's crazy. That's amazing.
He merged a card and brought the card, because he was under there, and then took a card from an outside lane and merged it
and
into
still merged
while he was under there.
X.
I was like, I was not expecting that one. I lost that game. I will never forget that now. Yeah, no.
Wow. Somebody said Guest is in therapy working on his PTSD from having to dance Baby Shark for 7 millionth time. I believe that. I believe that 100%.
That's how I felt after building the Avengers party. Anytime I build these parties, the thing is that the way I have to test them I have to test them in full. So
Right.
it's, each segment that we do for the stream, it's like, 45 seconds to a minute, but you have to do a full test every time. So it's not just like I can start and stop it in the middle of it. I have to play the whole animation out to see the timings of everything to make sure that one doesn't break another. So doing the Avengers Party, I listened to that 1 minute track about a good 200 times over the course of that day, just to make sure I had all the timings right for all of the activations that I have to make it do. So whenever I'm programming them, that
drives you crazy. I believe it.
Sucks.
I believe it. So Beta Ray Bill Lover said he would love Lockjaw going down in energy. Honestly, hoping let's hope that our next OTA is better than the last one. And I think he should be happy with this one because we did get a rework with Rhino. Yeah. But yeah, Lockjaw went down in power. I think Cena wanted that. That'd be interesting. Zay said, I think the Bullseye play has kind of fallen off. I see more ongoing stuff nowadays, but then again, I did hit Infinite with Bullseye discard. Hard to say, but taking a point of power off of him wouldn't be that bad. I could also see the situation where he's like Luffy and steals power from each card he hits. He could be a 3-1 or a 3-0 if that happened. Interesting.
Stealing a power for every card that he hits, like Luffy does, would make him unbelievably cracked.
Yeah. Everybody just played Discord Bullseye.
He's already that. Yeah. He's already strong, but he could be justified at like 3-1, honestly. I really do think he could. He would still do his job.
He should be fine.
More risk.
Right. I remember Sino said, have him not do the flick. No, have him do something. I forgot what he said. But yeah, I think the ability is what really causes the problem more than anything else. Jerry World said, no ability cards with High Evo. They need to be buffed. Not High Evo cards itself, but non-ability cards need to be updated. Okay. I mean, what other non-ability cards that we have currently?
I think they're referring to the 1 through 6. So your Misty Knight, your Shocker, etc.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's even plausible as of yet, because power creep is a thing. But if you power creep the vanilla cards, you're actually power creeping Series 0.
Right.
And I don't know if that's necessary as of right now, because Abomination's already good in the Evo shell.
Yeah, I think
the Cyclops variation is fine.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that Misty is actually one of the stronger ones of that shell.
Agreed. Shocker's the only one I don't care about. Yeah,
and
he might need some love.
I could see Shocker and Thing going 2-4 and 4-7.
Right.
But I can't see any of the others getting power.
I think Haivo's fine in the time being. So, with Abomination, Cyclops, even Wasp, right? I think it's totally fine for now. Yeah. And the last one we got here is, you guys keep calling card gen hand buff. And it's driving me nuts. Hand buff is Gwenpool and Nakia with Brood stuff. Okay, that's fair. We did ask the question what that was. Card gen is card gen. Hand buff.
That was you two. My ass wasn't there. That was you two, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't there to correct you. You're like, hand
that's
buff.
fine. Yes.
Scarlet Spider shenanigans, like.
Yes.
Bring it on.
So we got it. We're good now. Now we know exactly what it is. Thank you for that, guys. We appreciate you guys and your comments. The person that did tell us where guest was is Hi, it's me. So you are the winner of the Gold Pass. Hi, it's me. Make sure you reach out to me on Discord or email, and we'll make sure we get you that Gold Pass because you were able to tell us where guest really was, and that's exactly the truth. As you can see, guest was working on a new epic party. All right, guys. So as we mentioned before, please leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the Series 4, Series 5s. Let us know what topic you guys want us to talk about on our 100th episode. Of course, it's gonna be epic. I cannot wait to have a blast talking with these guys. I've been doing this forever, even before Guest Encino was here with 2 other gentlemen. So to make 100 episodes is a very, very cool milestone. We'll make sure we bring it properly. We'll make sure we bring the right energy. Like I said, right now we're just pumped up on meds and all the awesome liquids to keep us nice and hydrated. All right. So Make sure you guys follow us on all the socials. Get ready for this week. Snap Packs is going to be a great time. And of course, don't forget the front page. Until next time, see you guys in the next podcast.
Peace.